Welcome to my channel, Ken here. Today let's take a look at the Mojo 2 by Chord, headphone amp and DAC. Let's go! So here we have the Mojo 2. This is a digital to analog converter as well as a headphone amp. You have two headphone outputs here. You have some control buttons here. Turn it on. You hold down the start button, it turns on, and you have some lights here. As far as connectivity is concerned, you basically have a charging port, you have a USB in, and you have two different kinds of USB ports, so USB-C and an older type here. And then you have a digital line, like optical, and a line level input. That's about it. And then these buttons here will have different colors. I don't know if you can see this on the camera, but as you push them, you make it louder, they'll change color. So these colors signify certain things. Like right now it's white, that means it is not connected. The different colors will also signify the sample rate, the EQ settings, the volume settings, and many more things. I'm not going to get into too much of the functionality with these colors, but I will comment on it a little bit later. Tried this with many headphones, and that includes the Austrian Audio Composer, the HEDD2s, the Fostex Mark IVs, the Odyssey LCD5, earbuds, many more. What's remarkable about this little thing here is it had no problems driving any of this. It did improve as the headphone quality got better. So I really like this little device with the HEDD2s and the LCD5. And no problems driving them to very loud levels. So that's cool. Another thing is about this charging thing is it's just a standard 5-volt charger you can use that you use for your phone or many other things. And essentially I tried it also with a bunch of different sources, such as my iPad. I tried it on a MacBook Pro. I tried it on my Mac Studio and iPhone. None of them had problems recognizing it right away. I even put it up as an aggregate device on my Mac Studio, and it just worked fine there too as well. So this is not the problem. When I first got this in, I did have some problems with the M chip from Apple, which all my devices have. So it would send a loud white noisy kind of burst occasionally through it, which is very jarring and not good for your hearing. But I sent it back to them and they fixed the problem, and I got it back, and I haven't had that problem since that time. The other thing I gotta say about this, when you charge it fully up, it lasts quite a while. As a matter of fact, I think I've only charged this thing once or twice, and it just lasts a long time. So I really can't comment on how long the battery life is on this because it lasted so long. Now this thing is, I'm not sure exactly what it goes for nowadays, but it's definitely under $1,000. So let me just say this right off the bat. As far as my opinion, initial opinion was that this is an incredible value for the money. It's just an incredibly easy way to get into high-end audio, because it definitely falls into that category. I mean, you can't really talk about it being an upgrade to the computer output for your headphones, because it's far beyond that. It definitely falls into the high-end category. It has a high-end sound for sure. It's very impressive that way. So I find it to be the most affordable way to get into high-end audio, professional level audio, if you want to call it that as well. Even though the manufacturer sent this product to me, the thoughts and opinions are mine and mine alone. It can be hugely useful. So if you have an audio interface with a headphone out, I think most likely it'll beat that by a mile. It ended up being compared to much higher end products that I had in here in the studio, like my reference Chord Alto, which is I don't know, 4 times more expensive, 5 times more expensive. I also had a Ferrum and a bunch of other high-end headphone amps, and then on top of that, you get a high-end DAC on it too. This is very cool. Nothing clinical or fatiguing about the sound of this unit. It has outstanding rhythmic drive, and this is something I'm starting to get an impression that this is a chord signature sound, because it does just fall short of the alto, and the alto's strength is that rhythmic drive. It has great separation, and the top to bottom balance is very good. Now you can EQ this thing, and you can adjust the bottom end and the top end. I didn't use the EQ a lot on this. I just made sure it works and it sounds very smooth. It has a very nice and dynamic sound, like I said before, a punchy sound, a big sound. The top end is airy and clear and very detailed. And the stereo perspective is rock solid. It's not as wide and as rock solid as some of the more expensive headphone amplifiers that I've tried, but it definitely holds its own. And for the price, it's unbeatable, I think. The vocal clarity, when you listen to a lot of vocals, is excellent. And there's nice separation in the choir. It's the room and the verbs are very naturally portrayed, and it holds the mix proportions, which is something that bothers me when I listen to certain products, is that it sounds kind of mushy or hyped, but it really maintains that mix proportions very well. Bass is articulate and precise, and you can easily follow a line from an instrument. So when you're listening and you follow the bass line or a violin line, there's no problems following that along. It doesn't get lost, which is a hallmark of a high-end product. So does it have any issues? Well, I do think it has a couple of issues if you really look at it critically. One of the things that I find is that it could use a little more energy in the lower mids. So there's a little more weight to the cello or the guitar or the lower range of a piano or something like that. But that can definitely be helped with a little bit with the EQ. The other thing is that and I'm comparing this to the best here that I've heard, there is a slight smearing in the upper mids that just compared to the best, 3-4K up there, it maybe even 5K, the top end of guitar sounds, the acoustic guitars, could have a little more definition. But this is, again, for this kind of price range it's in, it's way better than the competition I've heard in this price range. So considering that I listen a lot to the Head 2s, which is an incredibly heavy headphone to drive, and it was just blasting away at this headphone, and it's very impressive. And still, I didn't run out of battery. It would take some juice to drive those headphones, and it just did it effortlessly. So that's very, very impressive. Also, the LCD5 by Odyssey has a pretty low impedance, and again, it just drove him without a hitch. I mean, loud and clear and punchy and all those things. It just didn't feel lacking at all. The unit does get warm and over a period of time, but not like hot to the touch. So just be aware of that. And the second thing is it does lose some volume when you have two headphones driving at the same time. You have two outputs here, but it can easily drive two headphones, so that's nice as well. So would I recommend this thing? Well, what we got to consider here is that I'm sitting in a studio. So where would it fit into a studio? Well, you can, if you're on a Mac system, you can aggregate it into your audio drive, and you can dedicate depending on your DAW, you can dedicate one output for the Mojo 2 as an alternate monitoring system, and that's what I did. You can also take it out of the system and then check it against on your iPhone if you want to check a mix over there and stuff like that. It does have some useful functions in the studio. And of course, if it's just stationary, you can just leave it plugged in all the time to charge, and you won't run out of charge. And so, yes, I do think it has some value in the studio, unless, of course, you're using something more expensive like the Alto 2 that I have over here behind me that I use for my reference headphones. But it has the mini plugs, the 1/8-inch plugs here, so you can't use full-size plugs. So I had to oftentimes use an adapter like this one that is a 4-pin on one side and a 1/8-inch on one side. But none of this gave me any issues. Very impressed with this product. Look how small it is. It's incredible. Do I recommend this? If you're on a budget and you want to get into high-end sound, absolutely. This is worth the money. The other thing is you have to kind of figure out, if you're in a studio, how to use it, but it's not complicated. And you can take it to go, and battery life is very long. However, there is one caveat. This problem I had with the noise bursts with the M chips, this is a known problem they have, and I would absolutely make sure that you get one that's compatible with the M chips from Apple, if that's what you're doing, because it's not a PC problem. But then on a PC you couldn't aggregate it, so there's that. I recommend it highly on sound quality alone and convenience of use. However, the other thing that I have to say that I do have some trouble with, and maybe I just need to live with it more, but this color thing that it has, it takes some getting used to, because blue means something and red means something, green, and I just had to have a sheet next to me to figure out, okay, what does green mean, or what, so forth and so on. And yeah, that's not the most intuitive thing I've ever seen, but I guess you can get used to anything. So yeah, I recommend it. Good job, Chord. Thanks for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe. And until next time, take care.